I like to work hard. That's it.
Did you find buds challenging at all?
Yeah, of course. Of course, Buds is challenging. I'm not going to say Buds is not challenging, but I had read 6 million books and set my expectations here. And so I think I had set them so high. Maybe it was a little down from where I had set them at. Didn't mean it wasn't hard, right? One of my best friends, every morning he'd wake up, he's like, fuck this, I'm quitting today. And then he'd never quit. But every morning he'd tell me he was quitting. Where me, I was like, okay, if I allow myself to think that every morning he's like, Biss, I'm out of here. Fuck this. And he'd never leave. I'm like, listen, you got to fix this because you're really rubbing me wrong.
Quit lying to me.
Every morning you're fucking with me and you're not quitting. I was afraid if I ever entertained those thoughts, I'd quit. So I was like, no, I'm not quitting. Never entertained them, and went right through.
What did your parents think?
I don't think they knew what to think. I think that's the part when I started lying to my parents, right? As soon as you graduate, it's like what they know is what they know, and they don't really need to know anything more for right now. Right, I graduated, nothing going on, still pre-9/11. And then on my very first deployment, I was sitting in Okinawa, Japan, watched it all transpire on my barracks television.
No shit.
Yeah. I mean, we were like, holy shit. Like, think about it. Your first deployment, brand new guy. Nobody in your platoon seen any combat. Like, you know, there's the stories of guys going around and maybe the little Grenada, Panama here and there. But nobody really done anything. And then now we watched 9/11 unfold on my television. And, right, the rest is history. I mean,
what did you think when you saw that? Were you... That's it.
The first one had hit by the time we had turned on the news, and by the time the second one hit, you know, we watched that live, and there was all sorts of speculation between the first and the second. Hey, what was this accident? Whatever, who knew? But by the time you watched the second plane fly in, it was the gut punch that you were like, okay, this is real. Mm-hmm. Something's happening. And if that doesn't give you goosebumps and think you're going to work, something's wrong. So, I mean, I probably would have got out of the teams had we not had 9/11 happen.
Yeah.
Right? I would have done my time and got out. But now I was smack dab new guy. 9/11 just happened. We finished that deployment, came back, did another workup, and then my next deployment, we deployed right to Iraq for the kind of initial invasion up into Baghdad.
Man. Dude,
so what? Still running like thin-skinned Humvees, like before the IED threat. Way.
What an arc of a career. So your first deployment, you're watching 9/11 happen. Your last deployment.
Well, we don't count as a deployment.
Yeah, I guess your last mission. I mean, fuck, you're taking the guy out that orchestrated. It's just fucking wild to me. And you're on the invasion. So first deployment, you watch 9/11 happen. Second deployment, you're on the invasion, and you're at Team 5, correct?
Yep.
How did it feel going on the invasion?
Well,
because I would imagine
I don't want to upset my Team 3 fellas that were there before us. Right? They had done the oil platforms and moved up inland. By the time 5 came and swapped out with 3, we were just now taking Baghdad, and so we took Baghdad and then moved into one of the palaces and spent the rest of my deployment running ops out of Baghdad, which was okay, like living the dream, right? Young frogman, we got an enemy, we're going to take the fight to them, and you're new, impressionable, and gung-ho. So away we went.
Was it pretty kinetic?
Yeah, for going from 0 before. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, my first shootouts, my first everything was that deployment. There was a lot of learning happened that deployment, but it's still learning because it's a Team 5 platoon that's pretty new. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Well, let's talk about what was the first shootout? What was your first gunfight like? Was it what you had expected? Reading all the books?
No, it's never as expected, right? You can think what you're going to think, and it never plays out that way. At least that's in my opinion. Shot through the door. Shooting through the door. That was the first. Oh my gosh, they're shooting back at us right now. Right, we'd assaulted a target. Just hitting houses. and it was at the front door, and they just started pumping rounds through the front door. And that was the first time I was like, oh, okay. All right. Something's happening here.
Right on.
That was it.
What else were you guys doing that deployment?
That was it, right? We lived in the green zone, lived in one of the palaces out by BIOP, Baghdad International Airport. Worked for the different intel agencies, kind of giving us targets, and we'd go do our best to roll them up, right? I thought we were pretty cool at the time, little, and then every night you'd see these cool black helicopters flying over, and I'd go to my boss, I'm like, hey boss, why don't we have those little birds around? Why are we in thin-skinned Humvees right now? Why are we in why aren't we flying to these targets? I mean, those little birds look really cool. They're like, well, you don't get those assets here. So that's when I started learning a little more about the big leagues and the different assets that came with different units. And so I had screened for my previous command before my second deployment. So I got word on the Iraqi deployment that I'd got picked up to go to training to see if I could make it into Damneck.
Okay. So for those that are listening that don't know what Damneck is, that's where SEAL Team 6 Development Group is at.
So I've heard. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. You better be careful, where these admirals might come after you.
They will.
So Team 6 pops on your radar because all the assets, all the cool toys that they get, you're seeing that.
And all the guys I knew at 5, right? Some of the bigger studs that I knew would disappear, and then they went off to go see if they could screen. And so I'm like, all right, well, if I'm here, I need to try this. And so
you got word that you got accepted to
yeah, I'd screened before
out.
the second deployment, and then I got word 6-9 months later that I'd been picked up. I barely passed my PT test.
Are you serious?
Bro, we were doing a SR in Camp Pendleton, and literally they called us 2 days prior, and they're like, hey, your screening test is tomorrow morning. I've been eating MREs, face painted, living under a tree for 3 days, and literally 3 other dudes got pulled out of the field, drove down to San Diego, and the next morning we had our PT test.
Holy shit.
And I barely passed my push-ups.
Right. Right on.
Yeah, a little worried about that. All right, are they even gonna, they even gonna pick me up because I was a slip knot and barely passed my push-ups? I got picked up and then I made sure my push-ups were good for you take a screening test day 1 of training. They show up and give you a hard one. So
right on.
I had to make sure I was ready for that.
So you pass the screen test, you get in there. Let's talk about showing up for training. How was that?
Pretty cool. Different, right? Right. You go to Buds. I'd read a whole bunch about Buds. I hadn't read much about this. I didn't know much about this. I knew Buds was more of a, hey, don't quit. Check. I don't have that word in my vocabulary. Now it's okay. How can you, right? It's a selection and training, probably more selection than training, right? So they want to know you have it or you don't. And day 1, it's shotgun blast to the face. And then it's, I thought getting into that unit was twice as hard as Buds.
Really?
Right? Buds was simple enough where it was you get the deal, right? You run that way, don't quit. Okay, check, I got that. This selection was, okay, how good are you at what we've trained you to do, and can you make really good decisions under stress and pressure, and can you do that, right? It's not just about just quitting anymore.
Yeah.
So
You found that to be a lot harder.
I loved it. It was much harder, right? Because now the selection process in which they are judging you on has nothing to do with you just didn't quit. Now it's, okay, how good are you at the game? Right? Buds was don't quit. We'll train you some basics. Now you've been a SEAL for a handful of years. Now we want to put you to the test of what you know, and we're going to put high expectations on you. And then if you don't cut it, you're out. So I loved it, but it was very demanding.
Can you say how many people you started with? Do you know?
I don't remember the exact number. I would say rough numbers, 50% washed out.
50% washed out.
And no disrespect, no, hey, you're an asshole, you don't cut it here. It's like, hey, you just don't cut it here. Go back to a team. Depending on what you failed out for, you may have a chance to kind of reapply and screen again, or you just go back and that's it.
Gotcha.
50%-ish.
So when you say mostly selection, a little bit of training. So I mean, you have a baseline when you show up there that they have an expectation from the baseline that they, I mean, so are you not learning in the training pipeline?
You are, and they will teach you something new every single day. Every single day you're getting something new, and it's just it's amazing every single day. And if you're the guy who didn't pick it up the day prior, the next day okay, now they stack something new on top of you and you weren't getting what they got yesterday. Okay, the next day is something more. And if you're, next thing you know, you got 3 of these things stacked up above you and you're not keeping up, you're not going to last too long.
So what did you find to be the hardest part of Green Team? For those who don't know, Green Team is it's the training regimen to get into development group.
I think it's an individual operator's ability to identify a situation, right? It could be an elephant, a big elephant, and be able to be like, okay, I'm going to eat that elephant one bite at a time. Mm-hmm. I'm going to prioritize those bites smartly, and I'm going to start eating, right? And the hardest part of training was that. They were constantly putting big elephants in front of you, stressing you out, wanting to see how you dealt with that size of that challenge, the complexity of that challenge. Did you quit because the elephant's too big? Or did you say, okay, check, I'll eat that elephant. What size bite-sized piece can I take? I'm going to start prioritizing those bites and start eating.
Gotcha.
The tactics were what they were. They're constantly throwing something new at you. If you're into it and like that type of stuff, it's the best training you'll ever get. Every single day you're learning something new and getting faster and better and better. And if guys weren't cutting it, they were gone.
Did you get honor man of this too?
They don't give an honor man in Green Team.
Right on. All right. So what is I've never really talked to anybody. We've talked pretty extensively about what Green Team is, what the different cycles are of the program and all that kind of stuff. But what is the graduation like?
There isn't one.
There is no graduation. How do you know where you're going to go?
It's like the last couple months of training. They'll be like, hey, you guys are going to this color, you're going to that color, you're going to that color. And I remember guys the guys who went to one of the squadrons, I won't mention the color, but the guys in my class that were going to the next squadron that were deploying, they literally left Green Team 2 weeks early, checked into their squadron and deployed.
No shit.
So they were like, you're graduating and integrated into your second deck squadron. And for them, they deployed. I waited 3 months and I deployed 3 months after I graduated.
Gotcha.
So it's the pace is insane at that facility.
And you went to Red Squadron.
Yes.
Where did you want to go? Did you want to go to Red?
Doesn't matter. I wanted to graduate and be assigned to one of the squadrons.
You didn't care which one?
I think when you're going through and you're envisioning up on what the differences are and how you want to make believe that there's something special and different, in reality they're not. And whichever one you land in, you're going to be happy and content and welcomed.
Are there different cultures for different teams?
I didn't think so. Maybe little nuances, but not significant enough to speak about.
How would you describe the culture of Red?
Put up or shut up? I don't know. Very cut and dry, black or white, right? No quarter, right? It was standards were this high, and if you didn't cut the standard, we're not going to give you a break on it, right? Here's the standard. You either meet it or exceed it, or we're going to have problems. I loved it because everything was very black and white, and you were either on one side or the other. And then of course, right, the op tempo was through the roof, right? I'd done 2 deployments at Team 5, which were the longer, slower ones, and then you get to that command and they're more often and quicker. Mm-hmm. And so then showed up and then just started deploying every 6 months or less or whatever it was. It was just constant.
What was it like showing up to Red?
Everything that I'd always dreamt it would be, it was.
Let's talk
That's
about.
It's a bold statement.
Yeah, let's just describe it. Day one.
You go up to, well, now it's all different, but we went up to the second deck, right, which is where all the squadrons are stationed. You show up with your case of beer, and you introduce yourself, and right, the whole squadron's sitting around. They're like,